So I believe that the first thing to understand is that obviously people's paths in life are different, and that's a vital thing to take into consideration. Just in regards to most of the things that I'm going to talk about today, because I think that sometimes, you know, we can lose sense of our mind and our reality because we have things in life that we are generated as organisms to do in order to further or to contribute to the experience of living. And I think that some people in this world would be ultimately composed to contribute in a negative manner, i.e., to take away from people, while others are there to give and to add to people. So I think that people shouldn't get lost when they are facing adversity, right? So when people are coming to you and trying to endanger or trying to prevent you from doing the things that you need to do in this world. And when you understand this, you then learn about the different hierarchies and the different methodologies that you can use in order to petition the heavens in order to advance your cause and to deter those people as required. And you know, the higher power the people have, the more higher power that is given to your assistance, right? And it might not appear straight away, but as long as you stay true to the cause, you will see that manifestation come into true being, right? So that's the key fundamental thing that we need to understand here, because those higher powers ain't gonna help you if you're only trying to manipulate them in order to further your own cause or agenda. But if you are in service to that higher cause, then that higher cause would then assist you as needed, and it will sort of cascade invertedly in regards to the realms of power that will be brought, or into the realms of power whose attention will be brought to you in order to assist you in achieving your cause. Because the world is a interesting place. Though there's evil within it, human beings are conscious, so they're different, but different levels of consciousness bring about, you know, different levels of understanding. In some scenarios, people with a less level of consciousness have some power, and in other scenarios, people with a higher sense of consciousness have a higher power in essence. So that's the one thing to take into consideration. So for me personally, you know, I think that my love life has always been something of key interest to me, and it's always been one driving factor in most of what in enhancing my experience of reality. It doesn't make me a better individual, it doesn't make me smarter in any way, but it allows me to access aspects of myself that would be otherwise more difficult to access, or that would otherwise be unnoticed even by myself in most instances. So it's kind of like an energy drink, you could say, to a degree. And unfortunately for me, there hasn't been that many people in my love life, and I'm just sort of getting this off my chest as well, because I think it's definitely very relevant. There hasn't been that many people in my love life, and sometimes people can look at it and be like, yeah, you should get over things. And yes, I am over things, but unfortunately the lack of experience, or the lack of involving myself with multiple partners, etc., limits that, right? So it's like I'm over it, but those constants are still constants, and they're ultimately not variables, right? So I definitely learned this, and people can make fun of me for that. You know, they can just like look at it like I'm some type of whatever. I don't know what they it changes with time, right? Like the way people perceive things change all the time, so it's quite difficult sometimes. The best thing is to keep yourself true to some text or honorable cause, which is one of my key interests within the Japanese movement. I'll go into that. There's definitely I can find you the connections which I have in here, but I'm not gonna divulge that too quickly. And obviously, so for me, it's very limited. I have had sex with more people, but more so it's very no strings attached at all, and very random. In most instances, there has been situations where I probably have slept with people, but I wasn't really into it. But it was just more so just like friends getting into stuff, and then me just sort of vibing along with friends and whatnot. But then there's also been quite genuine connections that I've experienced, which have ultimately been awesome. But I say a very few limited, like I'd say they're very limited, like highly limited. Yeah, even though when I try to think about them, it's like I'm kind of one of those people, right? When I have something exciting, I try and like keep it, like I try like preserve it. So for example, like when I'm listening to like chill wave or synth wave music or whatever the case may be, right? I listen to it and I think to myself, like if I see like there's one that was released like 3 days ago, yeah, I don't play it. If one was released like a week, a month ago, I don't play it. I play the ones that was like 2 years ago, and I look for new tracks that were released like 2 years ago. Then I look for new tracks that were released like 1 year ago. Then like 7 months. Like I don't play the new stuff because I'm trying to save or preserve that thing that I like, which is weird. It could be some type of psychological disimpairment or something, but that's basically how that works. And yeah, and so for me, I'll probably say like people that like have probably like like yeah like casual stuff is very limited, man. And then there's actual relationships that were full-fledged, acknowledged relationships. They're even sort of that became something like they're like two, and I'm like casual people that are conceptually like would say it was my own volition to do. I'll probably say like four, and then that's pretty much it. And then the rest of them are just random, whatever the fuck the money brought. Never really used Tinder. The majority of those people I either met either in uni or it's people that I found attractive, and spoke to, or it's people that I knew from like I mean on the street, like just like like the normal thing to do. and then I think like the rest of them are just like randoms, whatever it is that was where the money manifested into my world. But I'm a bit and they're the word because they glitch me out sometimes because I don't really have a proper coordination point for them. But they've been enjoyable as well, right? So that's the thing. So with me just having those two people who are emotional impulses, it's very difficult not or at least like I'm definitely over it, and I think that in the time spectrum it just glitches slightly. So biologically speaking, they change appearance like minorly. I think that's how that probably works, and it's rather quite complicated. Well, I don't really know personally how that would work, but I'll probably just chop it off and just be like, biolock that to some degree, and there'll be an eerily similar pathway. Ideally is how I imagine that would work. I haven't really spoken to anyone about that, so can't really chat about that. But as an experience as an individual, that's pretty much my experience. So it's limited, and and it's kind of like for me, people might look at me like, yeah, this guy's a whatever. Like things went wrong, things went this way, and for me, obviously, I believe that regardless of what the women were, right, whether they were tricksters or not or whatever, the ones that the casual ones were all just it was entirely mutual. There was no stress from my perspective of things. It was entirely mutual. However, I think that from the relationship one, if it was tricksters or whatever, it is what it is. But for me, it was I'm a growing individual. And then there's that one that like my first experience of what of loving in another individual was, which I don't really talk about. Let's keep that to the side. It's just in the past or whatever. However, yeah. So I think that yeah, with that just being my overall full-fledged experience, whether or not they were tricksters or not, it was just me growing up and me coming into that knowledge of what it means to love, right? And to just be in a relationship, and and I think I'd like to believe that they also learned something through their experiences with me. Would be one of the key fundamental things that I really hope for in most of this. And I know that a lot of people might come and say things that are contrary to the truth, especially just in relation to communications, things of that nature. Like, I'm not really like a godless type of person. I just like having fun. And sometimes it's more fun to have fun with women because it's just, I don't know, it's just, you experience them differently. But also I enjoy having fun with like in terms of like just having a good time, right? Which is quite rare as well, to be frankly honest. But I think that, and I'm not talking in sexual context here, by the way. I'm just talking like in general. It's so it's like in clubs and pubs and stuff, or in bars and stuff like that. You might just, because I'm just having fun having a drink normally most of the time. And that's just ultimately my vibe, to be honest. I buy a drink here and there, not really expecting it, nothing or much, and that's my overall experience, and that's it. And that's why the fixation around that, because it's quite difficult to navigate past that. And that's why also that I think sometimes I get a shock to my nervous system in regards to some of the other women, because it's just so bizarre. They just came like instant in a flash and gone. And it's like, if I see them, would I even remember them again? Glasses and what, like, I don't really know. Like, I don't know. I literally, but I remember then, but I don't remember now. It's been a couple of years, It's been a couple of years. Like, I mean, like with the random ones and that. The casual ones, they just don't even chat to me no more, man. They just sort of vibed out because we never really maintained that thing. But I really had good times. We had, in some instances got high and it was really great. And we just have jokes, and it was just like we were growing together. And I think that was a beautiful thing. So for me, I really experienced and cherished those things, right? And I know who they are. I don't know if, and that's pretty much it, really. The future, what the future holds, I don't really know. But, I really like to just, because I'm looking, I'm really looking to, like, have a child soon. Like, I'm looking around maybe, like, 5 years-ish. And I don't really want somebody too young. I'm looking for someone mature. Ideally, would be great. So, having to do that, I'm probably gonna have to get on some dating profiles. But I do have ideas around how to maneuver that. But before that, because it's like, what? Yeah, a lot of people just have kids, right? So I think I'm okay in that regard. Like, but at the same time, I have to be cautious around like how I do it. Because again, if I, for example, right, if like right, if I'm not with a white person, right, I have a mixed race child, right, and ideally I would want to have a pre-arrangement, like a type of like engagement, type of marriage, type of thing, right? So if I'm not right with a white person, then I have a mixed race child, right, and then if I have a mixed race child, I'm then able to have another mixed race child. And then what I would actually want to do is have like one child in a highly dark place and one child like in a highly light place. So one child maybe in Africa and another child maybe in Zimbabwe. No, and one child maybe in Africa and another child maybe in and then maybe in England, right? Because I want to see how that works out, right? How would that pan out? Like, what would be the dynamics of that? Would I end up with the child in Africa go back to being black, and with the, or at least with the line, the seed in from the seed in Africa, would that go back to being black, and with the seed in the UK end up being white somewhere, like, like a few iterations down the line? I don't know, let's say 30 iterations or so. And I think I'll probably even put something in a safety deposit box for someone to just double check that for us, because I think that'd be cool. And that would be something that I'll do. I know that's a bit nuts, but I think that'd be definitely one of the concepts. But I'm not gonna be deciding on race, But also I'd like to fuck around a bit, but I don't know, because I want to develop, because I don't know how to approach that process. Do I want to fuck around? Probably not, but I'd like to fuck at the same time, in regards to, sleeping with, but more on a sort of, but have a relationship at the same time as well, like in terms of with the people that I actually deal with. And I don't want to be like, I want to be careful about it. I want to date, but yeah, that's it. So I want to date, and I don't want to just fuck, That's the and that's the thing. So I might have like 2 years of that, cause my life is already like, I already know the part that I'm gonna walk, right. I'm probably gonna work up until about, some number of years, and then I'm probably gonna end up starting some type of company or organization that does some type of contributive methodologies to help improve aspects of society or aspects of just being. And then what's gonna happen with that is, and then what's gonna happen with that is that what will probably end up happening is I'm probably gonna end up in a university somewhere. To be frankly honest, the way things are going, the way that I'm looking at it, I ain't super smart on that end, but I'm probably gonna end up in a university somewhere in my later stages of living. And that's just the facts of it. And then at the end of that, fuck knows what's gonna happen at the end of that. But that's probably gonna be what's gonna be. My intention is probably just gonna be to save up a lot of type of currency, and then after that, just probably like teach, professor or something like that. Maybe even just like a lecturer. Probably not gonna be, academically entwined, but I'm probably gonna end up in that type of region of things after my career. It's sort of, at its peak, and that's gonna be the ultimate intention. So I kind of know that I'm not gonna go too much deep into that life path, but that's probably how things are gonna pan out. We're gonna help out a couple organizations here and there through some type of brand that I have, and then obviously after that, at some point in time, we'll have some money, and then that'll be just there, and then have like a role at a university somewhere. Not actually working on thing, but maybe actually working on parts of the infrastructure, but also contributing also to the teaching process and actually assisting in that way. So it's gonna be like that pretty much. It's career, aspect of freelancery, and then mechanisms of contributing and sharing the things that I've learned. At a type of academic institution. That's pretty much it. So, but then so in all of that, like, I'm still here now, and that's pretty much my love life in a nutshell. I just wanted to say that because sometimes I might seem weird, I might seem odd. I might seem a bit childish in relation to things, and that's just why, like, I just don't have the same level of experience as some other individuals might do, I just don't have that, and that's why sometimes I fall like in a weird lovey-dovey kind of methodology, and people might look at it weird, and people might look at it like childish, but it's just it is what it is. I still got aspects of my heart in tune. I've learned lessons in love. And I've also learned lessons in friendship through love. And I've also learned to understand the opposite sex a bit more, but I'd definitely like to understand it even more than I do now, and actually experience it through taking my understandings and making them provable in some manner. And that's pretty much it. But in relation to, like, I'm not going to talk about, like, the thing that I want. I don't really judge anything. I just value honesty, right? So even some of the women that money summoned, um, or spawned, even money, yeah, some of the women that money spawned, um, even if I knew them as friends, I think that would have been a great thing, in one instance or another. It definitely would have been an awesome thing to have known them as friends, or like if I knew them as friends, and I could dip randomly, I wouldn't have judged them. I would not have judged them for it ultimately. It just would have been what it is. But it's that honesty that you value more so than anything else, because our mindsets are the truth that we hold so dear, right? So in valuing that, you don't want somebody that plays around, or at least I don't want somebody that plays around our mindset, because you actually feel it. Like sometimes you just feel like these forces that are fucking with your head, and you can't really comprehend because you don't have the adequate understanding. But what it actually is knowledge, right? It's wisdom, it's concepts, right? That play on your mind. So just not having control over your own environment is very detrimental, and it comes back to haunt you. It feels like you're being, it feels weird, especially when you start to actually alleviate the neurons, which is going to start happening a lot more. We're going to start to enter into the psychological world where you can see it now with some of the psychology things that we tend to be seeing at present. So it's going to become a more psychologically diverse world, which means that sooner or later there's going to be type of, because there's phases to most of this. So your relationships will play a key part to that, and it might take some time before you can truly harness the power and intention granted to you ultimately. And that's pretty much it. So please forgive me if you see me delving into that a bit more than I should. I don't really care at present. All that to me is in the past now. It should never be ultimately repeated. It shouldn't ultimately, yeah. So ultimately, it shouldn't be repeated. It should be ultimately left in the past. And like right now, even like little things that shouldn't matter actually play a part of my brain, and it's like I get pushed and pulled, which is very bad. So it's like I have to keep readjusting my mindset to suit the necessities. Now, if you know that's going on, and you're actually playing a role in that, I just suggest for you to either stop doing that, and just leave bygones be bygones, because some things should just be left sealed, is one of my key insights into that. Because for me, I believe that the learning process is what brings the most value, and so I leave things the way that they be. My key focus is actually always on improving that understanding and ensuring that things are aligned correctly. I see it a lot from Instagram though. I probably blame Instagram because as you flick through the thing, I don't use, some days when I stopped using it I felt more mentally free, But sometimes I'll be scrolling through and I'll see stuff, and then it'll just pull my head or pull my mind, right? And then I have to go through a whole process of readjusting how I feel, so I can actually feel changes in my brain occur at times. And that's not only limited. I've said this a number of times. Yeah, but I don't think that it's people that are actually setting traps or something, or that are actually setting things that actually prevent my, you know, things that actually prevent what it is that I'm intending to manifest out of whatever it is that I'm hoping to create. Because I think, I understand that it could be forces. I don't know about time travel and nothing like that, but I think that it could be forces. So what people know and think can influence you slightly. It's not as much as what people think. There's obviously levels to it. But yeah, that's pretty much it, really. Fuck, man, I'm going to go in the shower and that, man. Okay, this is almost 30 minutes I've been talking, which is kind of bizarre. But yeah, that's what I really much wanted to share. And I think that throughout my experience of the pandemic, I felt like I lost a lot of that. I lost a lot of those memories. A lot of those things had to be reshaped as I undertook these various challenges, and so yeah, I felt like I lost quite a bit of that, but it is what it is, and there's not really much insightful just in relation to that, in relation to relationships, and in relation to just like understanding what your ultimate, or at least why sometimes for me that's such a, like, why those things are, or those individuals are such constants, because that's what it is, and that's what the experience is, and that's why it's so clustered up, like clustered up experiences, and they still retain their meaning, as opposed to like becoming nothing, or just like no meaning anything, because that's what it was, and that's what there was, and that's all there was. There wasn't more than that, and that's where it pretty much ended. And I didn't really, and I took it seriously to a degree. So for me, the way that I think, that was embedded in my thought processes. Yeah, and that's the reason why, and that's the ultimate truth. But from my experiences, I'd always say to people, take the opportunity to learn, understand, and be mindful about who you let around you. Be mindful and be communicative as well, because that's the key thing to everything: the ability to communicate and truly articulate your feelings. Your future self will thank you.